What's up, fight fans? My name's Jim Grieshaber, play-by-play voice and host here of the Elite Amateur Fight League's Fighter First podcast. Joining us today, of course, as always, our founder, president, CEO, the man who wears many hats. We always tease him about the Kangos, but he does it all. It's Jesse Nunez. And our guest today, Jesse, none other than one of the greatest competitors we've seen in the Elite Amateur Fight League. He's now a pro fighting out of Jackson Wink from the Season 2 National Champions of New Mexico, Kenan the Lion Jackson.
Top gone red, I made a name for myself. I can't lie, I'm doing well for my age. My dogs said they're praying on my downfall. Well, they just truths in the casket, now they souls in the grave. Oh, you wanna know who I am?
From Jackson Wink, give it up for Kenan the Lion Jackson.
What it do? I'm a 94 baby, swanking like a brand new Mercedes.
All right, Kenan, welcome to the show, my man. First of all, I have to start off by saying thank you. I'm surrounded by people who have made our country a better place. Jesse, a Marine Corps veteran, and you, an Air Force active duty National Guard. Thank you, my man, for your service, and thank you for the thrills you gave us watching you compete in Season 2 as part of that national championship team from New Mexico. Welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thank you for your support. Appreciate it. Appreciate all that y'all do.
Yeah, and Jesse, we've seen a lot of great fighters come through in just a short ride with the Elite Amateur Fight League, but I don't know if anybody I've ever seen has passed the eye test better than Kenan the Lion Jackson. When you walk in and look at this dude, he just looks like a fighter.
Absolutely. And, you know, not only does he look like a fighter, but he performs at a top level. You know, we had Kenan in the cage in Arizona when we had New Mexico versus Arizona out in Flagstaff. Very impressive fight. I mean, we knew this guy had a future. And Kenan, I got to tell you, man, you delivered on every aspect. You looked the part, you played the part, and again, I want to thank you for your service as well, because not only are you a great fighter, but you're a great person supporting our country the way you do.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for putting on the fights, and thank you guys for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, and I want to say this, Kenan, in Season 2 against Arizona with a dominating performance, but the one that stood out to me was a fight that didn't actually count in the team versus team event out in Southern California when you guys were competing for a national title. And I looked at that performance against Mario Lopez, and I remember the name forever because Frankie Saenz and I were calling the fight. I believe Chris Lieben was the ref, or if not, one of the judges cage side. But I'm looking and I'm going, wow, Mario Lopez is not getting saved by the bell in this one. And you laid everything on this guy. I mean, you just pummeled him for the entire fight, and he stood in there and survived it. But for you, you're a guy who's a dominating performer. You're someone who not a lot of people want to fight, coming from a great gym like Jackson Wink. But I have to ask you what that experience was like, first against Arizona, then traveling to Southern California with Team New Mexico, being able to be treated like a professional in the amateur ranks, and how that's helped you now as you've turned pro.
Yeah, it was a great experience. You know, going out to Arizona, that was the first time I fought for Jackson's, and it just felt amazing. You know, the pride behind all that, and then to get to Arizona and see the venue where we were fighting at, you know, that made us feel like, you know, proper professionals. So it was kind of like a glimpse into the future of what to expect. You know, you guys definitely set the standard with that and opened my eyes up a lot. And not just my eyes of the rest of my team. And then out in California, that fight with Mario, you know, it was a good fight. You know, I was battling him. I was still kind of finding my way as a fighter, you know, still learning, you know, still a little rusty, a little green amateur-wise, but that was a fun fight out there with Mario. And I salute Mario, you know. From what I remember, he was predominantly a 155-pounder and came up to fight at 170. And, you know, he's a tough dude stuck in there. You know, so he gave a good fight, you know, so I salute him.
And absolutely, not only was it a great fight, but to Mario's credit, there wasn't a lot of people lining up to take that fight. I mean, that's why you ended up fighting Mario Lopez. We couldn't find a Northern California guy that wanted to match up with you. And so, you know, that fight got kicked down to the undercard. But, you know, you were a great talent. We wanted to see you compete. We had access to all these Southern California fighters. So you were traveling with the team already. Your ticket was bought. We wanted to get you a fight. And, you know, we're glad we did, because I think it was one of the fights of the night and absolutely set that place on fire. You did a great job. He did a great job. And that's what we want to showcase with the Elite Amateur Fight League.
I appreciate that, man. Couldn't thank you guys more about, going out of your way to get that fight as well. I was hoping to get a fight. I know at the time it was up in the air, but I was like, hey, it's in y'all's hands. So I appreciate y'all stepping up and making that happen.
That was all Jesse. Jesse does that every single time. He's always, true to his word, and he's always getting fighters fights. He does everything he can to make that competition happen. And it's always tough, as you guys know, to get fights and to keep a card the way it's supposed to be from the beginning through the end. And fight night, there's always hurdles and obstacles that come up. And Kenan the Lion Jackson, search him up with Elite Amateur Fight League if you're on our Facebook page, and check out some of his highlights. He's unbelievable. The fights are all on here. And Kenan, it was awesome calling your fight that night. But I have to ask you, man, because just, that season for me sent chills up and down my spine, because it was the best of the best, literally, with you guys and Alpha Male. And so much of MMA is bragging rights. And I just want you, if you could, to take our viewers through the experience of being part of that team. Joey Villasenor, and then Danny Castillo's coaching Northern California. So you have 2 UFC veterans as coaches. You have 2 of the biggest gyms in the sport. And I just remember telling Joey, and he just looked at me, and I'm like, dude, you can't go back to Jackson Wink if you lose to Alpha Male. So take us through the experience, and then what it was like going back, and what some of the pros said to you after you beat Alpha Male to win that national title.
Yeah, so the experience building up to it, we knew going into it that we were in line to make some history, especially for the gym, to add history to it. And what better way to do that by winning the first national championship and the first time that we were entered into the tournament, So, I mean, for me personally, I don't think there was pressure filled, just because I know my training partners. We had a solid team. We had Edward Cooper, we had Ashamaz, we had Dan the Determined,
Blasian.
Yeah, so Blasian,
Justin O'Connor, yeah.
We had a solid team, and so I knew, and I see those guys in the practice room, so I knew we were going to do great. And that was our expectation, to go out there and win everything, And so that's that. Leading up to it, seeing my team, or the team that I'm with, and seeing all the guys, there was no pressure. There was no like, we got to win this, or what I'm saying. It wasn't added anything. Everybody was in sync. Everybody was flowing, and so we just went out there and performed. Did the best we could, and came out with that championship. And then to bring that back, the sense of pride at the gym, it's like, wow, as I say, it's one of those things like, wow, we really did that. But now we're etched in Jackson Wink history. So, and unfortunately, the teams after that were unable to win another title. So it makes it even a little more special that we did it. But at the same time, we kind of want to keep that tradition going, and set the standard. So we got to get back in the winning race.
When I walked in Jackson Wink for the first time, man, it was like Yankee Stadium for an MMA fan. When you walk in there with all those belts and all those posters and all those pictures and all those awards, you're just like, whoa, man. So to be a part of that, and to be a part of that history, and have your name and your team up on that wall, has got to be pretty awesome, because every time you walk in there, you see and you're reminded of all the greatness, and now you're a part of that forever with your legacy because of what you did in the Elite Amateur Fight League.
When I first came here about 4 years ago, I had that same feeling, I was like, damn, I'm at, this is Tom Brady and the Patriots, so I had that feeling, that pride carries over. So, now that I guess I don't get that same feeling, but I know the level of competition that's there, the level of coaches that are there, the knowledge and everything that's instilled there to bring fruition of champion fighters. So knowing that, I just know I need to put the work in, at this point, just continue to follow their steps, all those legends on the wall, continue to do what they do, listen to my coaches, and it's been great.
Yeah, and Jim, I got the same feeling when I walked into Jackson Wink when we came to deliver that trophy. You've got Holly Holm and John Jones and all the guys that have come out of there plastered all over the walls. You got trophies and belts all over the place. Super impressive place to be. You've got Kenan and Dan and those guys training alongside with these professional UFC fighters. And that was really impressive to me. That was one of the things I noticed over at Jackson Wink. there's no separation between the UFC level fighters and the amateur fighters that are active in the fight scene. They're all training together. I think that's why they had such a great team. I mean, these guys do the same amount and the same level of training as the pros in UFC do. And then you look at the wall and there's belts and trophies everywhere. We made sure that we got our trophy center on the trophy platform there. So whenever they do a little UFC embedded or whatever from Jackson Wink, our trophy's up there. Kenan's name's on it, along with the rest of his team. We made sure that cup was placed center cut on that trophy shelf for sure. So Kenan, you're in the Air Force National Guard. You're training at Jackson Wink. I think a lot of fans are interested in how does a guy like you find time to get into the gym? What's your schedule look like? There's a lot of aspiring fighters out there that maybe think they don't have the time to put in to become an active fighter. Tell us a little bit about the day in the life of Kenan Jackson and what that looks like and how you make time to train and where that sits with you.
Yeah, definitely. So, it's changed over the few years, especially from when I met you guys for the Elite Amateur Fight League to my position now. But for me, I just had to find time to train whenever while working, So I had a couple jobs before the deployment, before I got started taking fighting a little more serious just to help pay for the bills. And then I met my girlfriend, so she helps me out a ton now with training and making sure I get to it. But before I was working 3 jobs. I was in the Air Force. I was a bouncer down at Nob Hill, and then I was also a lifeguard. So I would just try to make my schedule around training, work and training as much as possible, balance that out. And then, so it's kind of like a juggling act for a little bit. And then I moved in. Me and my girlfriend moved in together, and so she's been helping me out with a lot of things. And so now I can free up working and train a lot more. So now I just try to train as much as possible. Still in the Air Force. Right now, not working any other extra side jobs or side hustles. Just trying to really fully commit to fighting and put all my coins in that basket. So just because I know the top guys, they're doing the same. They're training hard, and if they don't have to work, they're not going to work. They're going to put that time to train in. That's the position I want to be in. I want to get to a point where I don't have to, work in the Air Force, or even though everyone plan for the future after fighting, but I want to be at a point where I'm just solely focusing on fighting and improving every day. So.
What about when you're training and you're rolling with someone or you're sparring with someone and you look and you go, wow, I'm actually sparring or training with so-and-so. Have you ever had that moment? And who was it with the first time that happened?
I remember when I had a wrestling practice with John. This was probably 2 years ago. That one was fun.
John Jones.
Yeah. So just because I'm a little smaller for his weight class, but I'm a competitor, so I'm gonna compete. And so I practiced with him on Wednesday wrestling practice, and then I did a sparring with Carlos. Me and him, so the first time I came here,
Carlos Condit.
Yeah,
right.
Carlos Condit. Yeah. So the first time I came here, I had that aha moment when I was rolling with Carlos. We were just, we got in that flow where we were just going. It was all good energy. Just 2 competitors going at it, and I remember that one specifically, and I remember sparring him a little bit. And that was always fun, And then who else was I really like?
You and Carlos same weight too.
Yeah. So I was really thankful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I wrestled with Diego a little bit. Just all the guys really. Just training with all of them. It's like they're in the UFC. They're where I want to be at. And so training with them and helping them out and them helping me out, it's kind of like I'm there. I'm in the UFC, I'm with them, so that just being there is just great.
And we've had guys like Kyle Stewart, Jesse, go to the UFC from the Elite Amateur Fight League. Kyle Stewart from Arizona. We've had Ricky Ferrar and Bellator, and Kenan, there's a spot waiting for you in the EAFL Hall of Fame, man. We're waiting for more EAFL fighters to make that big jump, and you have as much potential as anyone that I've seen. And I think, Jesse, you would agree, right? Of all the fighters we've seen, the athleticism is off the charts, the speed, the quickness, the strength. The wrestling is there. So you're fine-tuning your game, and you're just getting started in your pro career. But take us through your dreams and your vision for where you see yourself moving forward, and how long it might take you to get there.
Yeah, so one of my goals is to be to be one of the few fighters to have like minimum pro fights, but make it to the UFC. And of course, next goal after that would be to win the UFC, welterweight championship. And then after that, I do also want to win a jiu-jitsu world championship. It could be in gi or no gi, but that's one of my goals as well.
Yeah, and to your point, Kenan, I think MMA is just one of those sports that's isn't fully developed yet, right? I mean, the NFL's been around for 100 years, NBA's been around for years, and you got the NCAA tournaments for both of those sports that really give these amateurs exposure. That's what we're trying to do with the Elite Amateur Fight League. But to your point, I think there are a ton of prime athletes that are amateurs that could make the jump into a high-level professional promotion really quickly, and I think you're one of the guys that can do it. Your physique's is completely developed. Your skills are developed. You're at the right gym. You've got the right coaches. You've got the right experience, and we're rooting for you to see you go as far as you possibly can go. And selfishly, I would have loved to see you compete one more year in the Elite Amateur Fight League. But as a fan, I can't wait to see you compete as a pro. So I'm excited to see that growth and see that happen.
Yeah, Kenan, no doubt. And Jesse said it. I mean, you passed every test imaginable. You're in the right place, getting the right guidance, moving along. Your attitude, your demeanor, everything about you says you're going to be successful. And, it's something that, people have physical abilities. People have gifts. People have all those things. But it's the mental side that really separates, in this case, the great from the good and so forth. And you guys know what I'm talking about. And by the way, fans watching, you can go back and watch season 2, New Mexico versus Arizona, New Mexico versus Northern California, and see Kenan the Lion Jackson in action. And you can see him in action coming up on July 18th. We're keeping our fingers crossed for that one. But thank you for a great run. Thank you for a great year. You're making us all proud. We're going to just watch that path and see how far you go, because we know you're going to the highest of heights.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you guys for the interview and taking time out of your day to do this with me. So I appreciate it.
All right, that's Kenan the Lion Jackson, season 2 national champ with New Mexico, and Jackson Wink, and he is ready for fight number 2 as a pro. 1-0 already in his pro career, and sky is the limit for the Lion, Kenan Jackson. It's the Elite Amateur Fight League Fighter First podcast. Jim Grieshaber, Jesse Nunez, coming at you with more soon. Keep it here on all your EAFL social channels and platforms leading up to season 4. A lot of big things coming your way with the Elite Amateur Fight League, the only team versus team, state versus state, nationally televised amateur fight league in America.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Hey, Kenan, I want to point something out.
Yeah,
Look who's speaking back there. Look at that. Who's that guy?
Yeah. Oh, man, that's awesome. Hold on. Okay, I was trying to take us. There we go.
Screenshot.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, is that me? And I was like, yeah, it is.
Just say when you're the guy on the poster, man, the big spot on the poster, you're the man.